Welcome to the Popcorn Posse. I'm Shatay.
And I'm Danny, and we are here to discuss everything that pops off in the beehive. Not scripted, not stuffy, just a vibe.
That's the vibe. That's right. Each episode, our fellow Rice stakeholders join us as we talk about money, relationships, aging, all the conversations that come up when we're working on our businesses in the building. So get in the building, all right? Let's go. Who we have today?
Dr.
You want to introduce yourself, please, sir?
Dr. Ghazi Mohammad.
Hey.
I'm honored to be here with the Popcorn Posse.
Yeah.
Is it too early for a dance break?
No.
Turn up. It's about to be a good one right here.
How are you today, sir?
I'm blessed. How are you, sister?
Doing very well. We're so glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here.
We want to hear all about your life. Started like when you were 12.
Wait, can I say a little context? yes, that part. I have heard you. I've ear hustled some of your story a little bit throughout the past year or so. When you've been in the building, you're sort of networking with people, you've kind of shared a little bit about how you got started and your background, and it's so inspiring, I have to say. And so whatever you're comfortable sharing, but yeah, go ahead, Miss. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to say that.
So then maybe you can't start it like when you were 12.
Yeah. Actually, I'm comfortable sharing everything. Nothing's off limits for real.
Okay.
So I was born to a teenage mother who had her first child at 14 years old.
Wow.
She had my twin brother and I at 16. And by age 20, my mother had 5 children and had been married twice.
Wow.
So my mother didn't have a lot of formal education because she dropped out of school, of course, to take care of her children.
Yeah.
But I say she had a PhD in streetology.
Yeah.
The woman knew how to hustle and make money.
I bet.
And she's one of them sisters in the hood that was pretty, gold teeth, and carried them things with her. She carried them guns. And she knew how to hustle and make money. So a lot of her, in my earlier days, a lot of her boyfriends were like hustlers and drug dealers and stuff, So I grew up like vacillating between trying to be right and on the other side of the train track, So as a result of that, I stayed in and out of trouble. Kicked out of all the schools that I was in. Went to juvenile. Was in drug rehab when I was 14 years old for teenagers. I had run away from home at least a dozen times between the ages of 6 and 14. At least 20 times I had run away from home.
Wow.
And when I turned 16, my life really took a turn for the worse or better, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But I wound up catching a case as a junior in high school, and I was facing 50 years in prison. They wanted to give me 15 years. I spent 7 years behind the walls. From 17 to 24, I was in prison. And during that time, 47 months of that time was spent in solitary confinement.
Oh, wow.
So 6 different prisons, 47 months in solitary confinement.
Why?
Now, because I was a rebel, and I was very angry, young black man, and I was learning a lot about our culture and our history, and I was very outspoken and unafraid to express what I was learning, and the system had a problem with that. The administration had a problem with that. So she been around in 6 different prisons during that time, and kept me in a hole in all the prisons I was in. Most of my time I spent in solitary confinement. But it was a blessing on the one end because the older brother was giving me all these books. And so I started consuming all these books, and it expanded my mind. So I tell people, when people ask me, how did you survive 48 months in solitary confinement? I say, because I wasn't there. My body was there, but my mind wasn't there. Wow. See, my mind was somewhere else. My mind was in these books. I was all over in Africa, Asia, Central and South America. I was all over the world through these books.
Wow.
And that's when I began to learn that you could be in a situation that's traumatic and painful, but your mind can be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to separate myself physically and externally from what was going on in my internal world,
Ooh.
And when I got my GED in prison in 1991, I started tutoring other young brothers to get their GED. And some of my friends who I grew up with, from elementary to high school, some of them couldn't even read.
Wow.
I mean, they was reading Dr. Seuss, and I'm like, damn, how you can't read? Like, we was in middle school together, we was in high school. I just passed black boys along.
Oh, yeah.
And but they some cold hustlers. They knew how to make money. They had women. They had cars, but they couldn't read though. They was illiterate or semi-illiterate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that developed a passion in me to really give back. And I started seeing while I was in prison that my life can really affect change in somebody else's life. That I can really help somebody else with just what little I know. And so as a result, when I came home, I started working with nonprofit organizations, and I wanted to give back to young brothers, because when I went in 1988. you can count on one hand the number of young black men that was under 21 years old in maximum security prison. I'm from St. Louis, in Missouri. It wasn't a lot of us in max and supermax. We was in juvenile facilities, but not supermax.
Yeah.
But when I got out in 95, probably 65, 70% of everybody coming in was teenagers.
Wow.
And that's when crack cocaine that hit the community,
Yeah.
drive-by
Yeah.
shootings, colors, Crips and Bloods, everyone
System.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I was there in that transition from the older generation from the 70s, the heroin dealers, the pimps, and the hustlers from the 60s and 70s to that younger generation of children, that early school to prison pipeline. I was a part of that. And I seen that, I witnessed that, and that was just heartfelt for me. So when I got out, I wanted to really help. And what solidified it is a conversation I had, or I would listen to. I was in the prison called The Walls in Jefferson City, Missouri. And I'm laying on my cell. It's like concrete slab. It smell like rats, but it smell like urine, feces, funky place. Real dirty. But it was solitary confinement, and these two young brothers was hiding across the cell talking to each other. One was 16 years old and one was 18 years old. The one that was 16, he was eligible for parole in 40 years. The one that was 18 had life without the possibility of parole. He wasn't never getting out of prison unless God intervened. And their conversation went like this. They was Crips. So the conversation went like this. Now, I sat on the bunk listening to him. I had already did 6 years. I was on my way out another year or so.
Yeah.
And their conversation went like this. Hey, cuz, by the time I get out of prison, this is the 16-year-old talking. He said, I'll only be 56 years old. He said, I can still give me a wife and have a family and raise me some children. As I said and listened to them, I say, damn, no matter how dark this situation is, that young brother still had hope. He had a real hope. But you know, misery love company. The one who had life without parole, he said, oh, you ain't going nowhere. You're going to be in here with me. We're going to die in here together, you know, because that was the atmosphere it was. And when I heard that, in my mind thinking like, damn, I just did 6 hard years behind these camps. I can't imagine
Life.
40 years of my life.
Or life.
And
Never changing.
I mean, I couldn't imagine it. But I had met guys who've been down before I was born. They've been like that before I was born. They did 40, some of them 50-some years, you know.
Wow.
Been like, I met guys like that. But I couldn't imagine me being like that. And for this young brother to be planning his life like that really affected me. And it kind of solidified my desire to want to give back to the community.
Oh, this is powerful. If I could just jump in, there's a couple of things that you said that were just already, oh my gosh, there's so much we could, I want to throw all our questions away and just like let it go where it goes. But the idea of being not present in your body and your mind being somewhere else and how it saved you essentially. But it also made me think about people who have actually a really great life and their mind is not there and it's all negative and then they self-sabotage and like, you know what I mean? And so the importance of your mindset and your mentality is so important. But I'd love to hear you're listening to this conversation. It is a perfect example of, you know, hope and hopelessness. Perspective. Yeah. Absolutely. Were the books for you the thing that kept you with hope, or was there something, you know, what's the thing that kept you holding on and not sort of feeling like I'm gonna die here, and you know what I mean?
Well, it was the books, but it was also spirituality. I started growing spiritually. So I became acquainted with the Nation of Islam when I was a young boy. My uncle was the captain, one of Minister Farrakhan's captains. And my mother called her big brother, and she said, you better come get ready because I'm going to kill his ass. And I can cuss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Not stuffy. Not stiff.
Right. Just a vibe.
Just a vibe.
All right.
Bring the vibe.
What's going to come out of there, right?
Yeah, no,
So she
good.
said, you better come get the boy because I'm going to kill his ass,
Yeah.
right? And so he came and got me. I was 12 years old, and he took me to the mosque, you know, and I was young. So I had met Minister Farrakhan. I had met Dr. Khalil. I met all of them before I went to prison, in person.
Wow.
I met them. So I had the seeds in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the street, the gravitational pull of the street was still strong, and that was my environment for real, you know. I was around hustlers and thugs and gangsters, and so that's what attracted me, you know, even though I had the seed in my mind. And what I learned from that, I remember an older guy told me here in Georgia, I was out in Carrollton, Georgia, and his older brother, he said, man, I ain't talking to these young dudes. He called them YNs. He said, because they don't listen. They hard-headed. They don't want to hear nothing. And I showed him my experience. I said, man, let me tell you something. I was like that at one time. Yeah. But what happened was, it was older brothers in the mosque. They kept talking to me. They planted seeds in my mind. And when I went to prison and I started reading, those seeds became watered and they took root. And I wonder what kind of person would I be had the seed not been planted.
Yeah.
Even if I would have read the book, it wouldn't have watered nothing. It'd have watered some gangster stuff. I would have came out on a mission probably. But they had positive seeds in my mind. So I told them, I say, our job as elders, not to give up on our young people, but to keep planting seeds. We can't determine when the sun gonna come, when the rain gonna come, but we plant seeds in the right spirit and out of love. At some point, life gonna cultivate those seeds, and it'll take root. So that became like part of my mission in life.
Right. That's a great segue. So I want you to talk about what you have going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's happening with the business?
So I've been speaking for like many years. I started speaking in prison, right? That's why they kept shipping me around. Very radical, very outspoken. But when I came out,
I got something to say.
I got something to say. I want to say something.
Yeah.
But when I came out, I started speaking for nonprofit organizations. I started speaking, going to schools, and a lot of times for years, I just volunteered my time. Laboring under the mindset that I should just pay it forward. That God had delivered me through so much hell that I should just give it free. I never thought about the business side of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until about 10 years ago. I did this for decades. Sometimes catching planes on my own dime and going places doing keynotes. And I didn't ask for nothing because I always had other businesses going to take care of myself and my family, And but I didn't see a business model in it. And I remember I was at an event, and a sister, Alexis Rohn, she's a storyteller trainer in Arizona. She asked me, she said, I want you to come to this storytelling event. I'm like, sister, I don't tell no stories. I keep it 100. Sister, I don't think she's talking about like some old fairy tale. Yeah, Batman and Robin. I'm like, I don't do all that, so I keep it one. And she laughed because she knew I was ignorant. I didn't understand what she was saying. But I went to the workshop and I said, damn, the story is our own story. Yeah. You mean tell me I can tell my own narrative? I can express it and get some lessons from it? And I had been doing it. I just didn't know what to call it.
You hadn't framed it.
I hadn't framed it at all. But when I got on that first stage, it was like on. It was like a thunderous applause. It's like, dude, where this guy come from? And that led me to like open my mind, like, damn, maybe I can do something different with this, So I started like taking training. I started going to speakers workshops and things like that. Didn't understand the business side of it a lot. Yeah. I understood the talent side of it. Yeah. I knew how to grind. Give me a mic, throw me in the jungle, and it's on.
Yeah.
But if you say put it in an email, I'll be oblivious. Like I didn't know what it was, and that's what led me to Rice for real. That's why I wanted to come to Rice because I wanted to give more structure to what I had been doing for 30 years, and really elevate it and scale it. Because what I realized is that I was doing a lot of things, but without a system, it was impossible to scale for real. And you need a system and a framework in order to scale it. Yeah. You can put me in or I can get the mic on any stage and it's on. They gonna know Brother Ghazi been there, right? Yeah. But without a system and a framework, now what? After that, then what? So that's why I'm here at Rice, being a part of this community, to try to get that type of knowledge of the business side.
Do you feel like it's been beneficial so far?
It has, yeah. And, I've had a few classes with Dr. Lawrence and Brother Paul and them, especially, we had them like 8 weeks.
The men's group.
I didn't miss one.
Let me share something. They had these men's groups in the building, right? Yeah. I was sneaking in. They had the best food. They were feeding them good.
We got a woman's one coming up soon also. So ladies, hold tight. It's coming up. Yeah.
Anyways, yes, those men's groups were great because really Lawrence was hosting most of them, right?
Yeah.
He's great. He's a great leader.
Phenomenal brother.
Yes. Yeah. Trainer, I should say.
Yeah. And Paul was just great. And all the trainings they had was really good. And it was something where brothers can be very transparent. Yeah. Because a part of my coaching modality is the ATV methodology. And that's authenticity, transparency, and vulnerability. Sure. And I believe if you practice that in every area of your life, what happens is you're going to go through hell and pain, but it minimizes the effect of the pain. If you're authentic, it minimizes. You're going to go through hell.
No. Say the acronym again. I'm sorry.
It's the ATV methodology. Authenticity, transparency, and vulnerability. And what I tell people is just like the ATV, the thing. The ATV, it ain't the all-terrain vehicle, but in every terrain of your life, if you are authentic, transparent, and vulnerable, whether you in your spiritual life, your health life, whatever, be true to yourself. Damn, you want them donuts, keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? You got to sneak a donut every now and then. But if you faking with yourself, like I'm faking with y'all, but in the dark, I got to eat a donut, then that don't serve no purpose. You got to be true to yourself, And that's where you grow from a level of authenticity and transparency,
Ooh. I mean, Brother Ghazi out here just dropping down like gems is so good. If I could just double click on something, what I really love is the whole journey from, you said you got out, you had a heart, you were already speaking actually, you said, and then you get out and then you just start speaking. I think it's really dope to hear that you're you're working as a speaker for free essentially for a number of years, and then finally, you get the the knowledge, the understanding that it could be a business for you. I have two questions because I think it's important to be very transparent. If somebody's watching this and they're like, dang, I have a heart to share more, but I don't even know how to get started. Can you say something about how you got that first speaking engagement when you got out, even though it wasn't paid? I'll start there, and then I got a follow-up question for you.
Oh, well, I'm going to talk about the first paid speaking engagement because the first one I got, I was working for a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
And they heard me just like how you say you was ear hustling some things. I would talk to the young people, and the teacher say, "Can you say that on stage?" I said, "Yeah." They put me on stage. It was on.
Yeah.
They was like, "Man, where the dude come from?"
Yeah.
And then they told the director of the organization I work for, and he like, "Could you go to this school too, and this school, and that school?" And they was bringing all the boys out, all the girls out, the teacher, the staff, and everybody. And I remember I got the first paid speaking engagement though.
Okay.
I volunteered. Some black students invited me in to speak. The Black Student Organization and invited me in to speak at their college, and I was there, and there was a sister in the audience, Sister Michelle. She was a professor over communication, and after it was over, she said, "Can I have a word with you?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Do you do this professionally?" I said, "Well, if you mean professionally, if I get paid for it, no, ma'am. It's just something I love to do." She said, "Do you got a name for it?" I said, no, man. She said, she gave me a call. She said, "I want you to meet me in my office," because she said, "We have many speakers coming here." I was watching the students. Nobody was on their phone texting. You captured their attention. She said, "That's rare. This generation, where they're not texting on their phone and moving and all that kind of, distraction. They was zeroed in on what I was saying. So when I went to her office a week later, she said, "Do you have a name for what you do?" I said, "No, ma'am." "Do you have a website?" I say, "No, ma'am." I say, "Sister, just give me the mic, throw me in the jungle, and let me do what I know how to do." And she laughed. She said, "If you can get you a website together, I can get you some paid gigs." And at that time, I didn't really have a lot of video. I had people with their phones send me a few clips or some old pictures from an iPhone 1 that was probably dark and all kind of stuff.
Right.
But I went on Fiverr and put something together.
Okay.
And 2 weeks later, I went to it and I showed the website. And she said, "Okay, I got an engagement for you." It was she said it's gonna be 75 people there. It's a paid gig, but it's gonna be 13 other teachers there that maybe can lead to other opportunities. And I got that they gave me $500 for 45 minutes. I looked at that check. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I've been doing this for 30 years free. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? You can pay me for this stuff? I just couldn't. I was blown away.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, hell no. No, like, I just didn't know. I thought you had to go to school for this stuff. I didn't know what you had to do to become a professional speaker. You know, I thought, I didn't think what I was doing was a professional speaker. Though I was making an impact, I spoke to thousands of people.
You just need to share your story.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Second question that I have. One, I love that you apply what you hear. Like, you're not just waiting for something to come to you. Like, somebody's like, "Do you have a website today?" You're like, "No," but 2 weeks later I did. So that's powerful because I think a lot of people sit on ideas and they don't do anything with it. They sort of, I don't know if they think the idea is enough or if they just let fear stop them from moving. So I commend you for that movement. The other question I'm going to ask, it might feel a little silly to ask because we're amongst entrepreneurs, but I can imagine that there's somebody who is watching this or will see this who has a desire to have a body of work like yours to speak, and still, even if they have to get started with free speaking engagements, they're trying to figure out how they're monetizing their life, how they are turning their story into something of value that could be their business. Can you talk a little bit about, and you don't have to give us details, but what are some of the other ways that you are able to bring in money even if the speaking engagement isn't the thing that pays you?
Well, I've written books. I'm on my 5th book now. I've written 5 books now.
Amazing.
And I've helped other people, dozens of people write books. So writing books is a key for me. Because what I tell people is, now I haven't made millions of books, but what the books have served for me was the books have been keys to unlock the doors of opportunity for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's been them books that got me on certain stages that I would not have gotten on, and through them books I met certain people, and that's how, they call me Dr. Ghazi. They gave me an honorary doctorate degree back in 2024, December 16, 2024.
Yes.
And it was funny because I had never in my life had a cap and gown on, right? That thing got on me. I'm like, what the hell is this thing? The dress was
heavy, right?
The hat was 8 deuce and everything. I'm like, man, what the dress is y'all got on me, man? It was so funny, And that came as a result. I had an opportunity to go to Africa and speak. So I was up in Nairobi, Kenya, and I had a chance to speak and go to Jomo Jomo Kenyatta University and speak to some of the young people over there, and it was just an amazing experience. My first time out of the country, and I spoke 6 times over in Africa, and it was just amazing. I'm in touch with people from Africa to this day. It's been almost 2 years now. I'm still in touch with the family in Nairobi, Kenya. You know, but writing books is one thing, and also just coaching. You know, you can coach. You know, coaching people on your experience. Sometimes we think that we have to be perfect to coach somebody else. All you gotta do is be one step ahead of the person behind you and coach them on that right there, you know. So, like, where I'm at now is narrative intelligence. So, all these last 30 years have culminated into a system now that I call narrative intelligence. And that's when you look at your story of your life. I think that every mental framework we have what I call a narrative origin. It ain't no thought that we have that don't have a narrative origin. It's something in our life, in our story, and our experience that shaped that thought. And that came from, I've been divorced several times, right? And on my last divorce, I'm thinking like, damn, I go around talking to people, I inspire people. Why the hell I can't get this domestic life together? And and divorce.
They never teach us how to do that.
But the divorce was never because of infidelity. It wasn't because of domestic violence. It wasn't because he ain't a worker. It wasn't the traditional way people get divorced. The main reason was I was emotionally numb, and I didn't let access to no real intimacy come into me. And when I started looking at that, I started saying, now what's the narrative origin of that? So when I went to prison at a junior in high school, my family wasn't there for me. Right, my mother she was a hustler, but she turned to a drug addict. So she struggled with crack addiction until her death. For over 30 years, she struggled with crack addiction. Wow. But most of my aunties and uncles had got strung out.
What about your twin, your family, your siblings?
But they was all younger than me, and we was all children. So I was in high school still. Okay. So like, they didn't have no money, so I didn't get visits. I didn't get money on my books. None of the brothers in the camp took care of me, and behind the walls took care of me, right? But I didn't have no family. But what happened was, in order for me to survive that type of trauma, I had to take on the mindset where I'm numb. I didn't give a damn about nothing on the outside world. If you would have killed my mama, if Jeffrey Dahmer would have ate her up when I was in prison, if I would have cried, big if, I would have cried because my logic would have said, that's your mama, boy, you should feel something. But I wouldn't cry because I had an emotional attachment, because I had severed all ties emotionally with the outside world. And I needed to do that to survive that. Yeah. Because in prison, emotions can be a weakness. It can cloud your judgment. And you're in an environment where there's very little empathy or sympathy for human suffering. You tell somebody your daughter got raped, to help your daughter. I got 2 life sentences. I ain't studying your daughter. Damn. Man, you know, my mama died. I'm on death row. She to hell with your mama. So it ain't no sympathy. It ain't like you finna get in people gonna say, oh, brother, it's gonna be all right. It wasn't that kind of atmosphere. So I lived like that for many years. So when I came out, I didn't know, decades I didn't know, that became my default setting. And that mindset was good for me in there. Yeah. But that ain't good in no marriage. That ain't good in parenting. That ain't good in business. But I'll be cold. It'd be like I'm cold. Not malice. Yeah. Not heartless. Right. But it's like, shit.
It's unavailable.
Yeah, you know. And I didn't understand that. So the walls I built to protect me from pain, them same walls stop real love and intimacy from getting in. And I didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? And so what I did was I started going back and getting high on my own supply. So tracing my own stories back and putting my own life through this narrative intelligence framework. And it was just remarkable. Then I started developing all kind of developing the whole system and sharing it with other people. And they're like, dude.
So what's helped you to the other side of that? Have you sought therapy, or is it just you've been self-medicating to make yourself better?
Yeah, both. It's funny because I've been to therapy, right? When I talk to therapy, real time, I've been to 2 therapists in my life. When we got through, shit, I'm teaching them. They on the count. They need to be on the count. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny. They like, damn, man, we never heard like this before, you know? And they one sister, she say, I never knew somebody who understood their story like that, who understood themselves like that. But what I realized, part of the narrative intelligence is, how can you know something and still do the opposite? How can you know cigarettes cause cancer, but you still smoke? Yeah, you got diabetes, but you still eat donuts. I mean, how can that be? But it's something about the narrative that we got. It ain't the addiction. It's something else that's we trying to fill a void in. And if we go back and we look at that, we can. If it's a program, it can be reprogrammed. Absolutely. If it's a script, it can be rewritten. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, this is so good. It's 2 things come to mind for me. One, it reminds me when you were talking the narrative intelligence. I don't know if y'all have seen that movie or you remember Slumdog Millionaire. And like the whole premise of it is the young boy from, I don't even remember where it was based, but he wins a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type show because every question he had a lived experience in response to it. So it's like holding sort of these lived experiences and those narratives is really, yeah, I mean, it resonates deeply. And then you're talking about owning your stories, like, and the whole point of therapy, I think a lot is to bring people into self-awareness, but it seems like you already have this like really, really deep self-awareness that is powerful. And so, you know, there's a lot of conversation going on around these days about how we are moving out of the information age, right? So we have this thing like you can literally Google or ask an AI questions about almost anything and get a response to it. So like information we have readily. And now there's conversation about the power of stories and how now it's going to be the storytellers and those that hold sort of this narrative intelligence that sort of make way for this new wherever era that we're moving into. And so I heard you say you have a program. Is it primarily just one-on-one coaching or do you do?
Oh no, workshops, keynotes, one-on-one coaching. I have books. I've developed like the entire system, and I'm absolutely. I love the way God has taken it. What I tell people is that stories are so powerful, so important. We started with prayer. Stories are so important that God Himself, who is the best knower, He used stories as the means of expressing divine revelation and divine truth.
Come on.
The Bible from Genesis to Revelation is stories. The Holy Quran from Al-Fatiha to Nas is stories. The Bhagavad Gita that the Hindus read, the Vedas, the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead, all of them is stories. These are stories, and these ain't no milk and honey stories.
No.
In the Bible, this betrayal, treachery,
Right,
murder,
everything.
Life.
I mean, there's some hood stories.
Yes.
Like, man. So I told his brother Reese, I said, hell, if I can be inspired by David and Goliath 4,000 years ago, why can't I be inspired by David from the Bluff? Hell, he got a story too.
Yeah.
Why can't I look at this story and get some lessons from his story? Because all of us got a story.
We do.
We just don't know how to go into the story and extract those lessons from the story.
Yeah.
And part of my coaching modality is that if we get the lesson from any experience, so what I teach is this right here, that painful experience minus the lesson equals trauma.
Yeah.
It will leave you bitter and broken.
Yeah.
But painful experiences with the lesson is transformation. It will make you better.
Come on.
So the ideal is to get the lesson from it. So I don't care what kind of experience it is, good, bad, or ugly. If you get the lesson from
Something
it,
to
it'll take
be
your life to
extracted
another
from
level.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
And it'll take your life to a whole nother level. And I did a talk for some educators once, and I gave them an analogy. I say, about experience. Just because you experience that don't mean you're going to go to the next level, right?
Yeah.
You got to get the lesson from it. And I say, just because I experienced kindergarten, I went to recess with my friends, I learned my primary colors, I learned my ABCs, we played kickball, I went to music, I went to lunch, I had fun. The experience was good, but that don't mean I'm going to the first grade. I have to get the lessons of the kindergarten in order to go to the first grade. And that's just how life is. We go through things, we think just because I went through it, that don't make me resilient, because I can go through it and come out broken.
And it doesn't make you ready for the next step.
That's real, yeah. You got to get the lessons.
I mean, he out here preaching.
Is he?
And I'm sitting
Is
here
he
like,
not?
where do we even go from here? Like, it's so powerful. Your gifts have just made room for you your whole life.
Yeah.
And it's just powerful to even hear. The passion that comes forth when you talk about it is very contagious. So that's dope. I'm so inspired.
Commend you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes people hold that close for fear of embarrassment or judgment, not understanding that when you share your story, it's going to benefit someone else.
Yeah.
You're not the only one going through this.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to say this.
There ain't nothing
funny.
new under the sun.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, when I was bad, I believe that so much. Like when we started, I say nothing off limits, like nothing. And so when we got married and we going through all the issues, but I'm studying them. I'm like, damn, I'm learning a lot from this. So I'm on the stage. So now I'm finna talk about my lessons. And the wife like, damn, you gotta tell all our business.
You cannot be telling all our business.
I said, shit, if I can learn from that, maybe he can learn too.
Yeah.
Maybe she can get something from that. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like, but
There's
nothing
something to
off
be
limits.
said about the strength that it requires to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend you.
Oof,
Yeah.
oof, oof,
And before we close, we like to ask a random question.
What's that?
Favorite apparel brand?
My favorite apparel brand?
We got Nike, we got Adidas, we got Puma. What you going?
Anything.
What you going with? You going with some Timbs?
I don't
What
really.
you-
I
what you got?
don't know because again, I read so much. I don't subscribe.
You can't support nobody, huh?
Not in terms of favorite.
Okay.
I do like some Nike stuff. I like some Reebok stuff. I like them all, but I like being a black man who's conscious of black excellence.
Okay.
I like some black people who make apparel.
What you got?
I really support them. Like the clothing stores I go to.
Okay.
I like people who like make clothes and that's like FUBU. I probably like FUBU.
Okay.
If anything, if
For us,
yeah, I probably like that more than
Love
anything
it.
because it's apparel that's hip hop, it's cool, it's classy, and it's something that we can benefit from financially.
Absolutely.
You know, so I like the classy look, but if we ain't benefiting from it, then if it just come out of our community and go somewhere else, then it ain't really cool. Even though we wear it, you know, but I would really, my favorite is would also come back to our community. You know?
Yeah. Ooh, let me just throw one more
Take
question. This is not, well, it's random in that I didn't know that we were going to ask this, but I just want to know your opinion. We've had a whole conversation about how we would encourage new stakeholders, especially, or even older ones, to engage with what's going on here, right? Just to come back to the building. In your experience, so we know why you came here, what would you say to a stakeholder who is, new, or maybe they were here and then they just kind of tapped out for a second? Is there anything that a piece of advice or encouragement you would give them in terms of...
Yeah, to come and take advantage of these classes. Like I really learned from a lot of the workshops and classes that they offer. I really learned. And let me tell you how I heard about Rice. So I never heard of Herman J. Russell before from St. Louis. So I never heard that name before. Jay Bailey was out doing a talk in Douglasville Chamber of Commerce. I got my suit on. I'm in the Chamber of Commerce. I'm listening. He the keynote. I'm like, who is this cat here? I never heard of Jay Bailey, none of that, And he was talking so strong about Herman. I said, who the hell is Herman? Well, he was talking. I'm on the phone like, Herman J. Russell, who is this cat? I'm like, what he do that did all this stuff for Atlanta? Brother? And I'm looking like, was he black? And he was talking so strong. And I remember going up to him and I took a picture, Jay, and I took a picture. This was about a couple years ago. And I said, man, what the hell is this you with, man? And he said he was Rice. And I got to looking it up and I came to the next stakeholder. I said, I got to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Like, it was just that strong and that the way he represent Herman J. Russell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like he should be commended, because the way he represent Herman J. Russell and the mission of the Rice Center is very good. If you can attract like Lil Pookie now, I mean, damn, boy, you can attract Junebug now, boy, you go, boy. Yeah.
I love this so much.
This has been so good.
So good. Thank you, Brother Ghazi. I mean, I just got to say, it's like what he's saying, that's the power of the popcorn, right?
Is.
And so, like narrative intelligence, your story, owning your story, not letting your story own you, like all the things that you're creating. I really want to commend you and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
And
sharing.
Yes. It's been so good.
Taking
so
time
good.
out.
Absolutely.
On this cold Thursday.
Right.
No, it's Friday. It's
Whatever
Friday.
day it is.
Whatever day it is.
Cold.
Yeah.
It's cold, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is not hot Atlanta.
All right.
Well, listen, every week, be sure to join us because you don't know what's going to pop off.
That's it. Dance break.
Yeah. Dance break.